eating sore joints, it can slow us down. I'm not ready for that. I found a secret to turn back the clock on my stiff, achy joints by years without products that just temporarily hide my symptoms. My secret? Instaflex Advanced. Get a complimentary sample by 60 book to 231231. Instaflex Advanced targets the root cause of joint soreness and stiffness with a unique combination of 5 key natural ingredients found nowhere else. Key ingredients backed by 5 clinical studies. Instaflex Advanced is so powerful, I had better knees in just 1 week. You gotta try it. Instaflex Advanced is the #1 selling joint brand at GNC, but you can only get your complimentary sample by texting book to 231231. Plus, text now and we'll through a tube of Instaflex pain cream for fast-acting relief of pain of arthritis, backaches, and sore muscles absolutely free. Text BOOK to 231231 today. Boy, when I first came here from Queensbury, I never got
Boom. There we are live on a Friday night. Little technical difficulties. Got the Miguel Cotto headband on. My man, Kinchy, Rawway, New Jersey. I should have my Rawway gear on right now. Man, I just felt like doing a live because, shock of all shocks, the New York State Athletic Committee has chosen to keep the Tank and Roach fight a draw. So, what's shocking? That's my man right here. That's Rawway, former fighter, former track star from the Candy Stripes, brother. Yeah, good times in track. Good times in track. Georgie Orr, yo. So, man, I didn't have a show planned. I just saw the news about the New York State Athletic Commission, and they're keeping the fight a draw. But who's shocked? We all knew this. We all know that boxing is they're gutless. The commissioners are gutless. The organizations are gutless. It's just what boxing is. And there was no way they were going to overturn that, even though it should have been overturned, even though Steve Willis had a horrible night, even though Steve Willis and the New York State Athletic Commission cost Lamont Roach the lightweight championship of the world. So just want to see if anyone was on tonight. Anybody had any feelings about it? I'm a little disappointed because Oscar De La Hoya used to do clapback Thursdays. He doesn't do it anymore. I was just on his Instagram because I wanted to post something, and he doesn't do the clapback Thursdays anymore. What I have noticed, Kinchy, he should be fined. He should be suspended. But boxing won't do anything. Way back in the day, the New York State Athletic Commissioner had a commissioner who did some good for boxing, Randy Gordon, who is a friend of mine. Long time ago, 1992 or 3, there was a fight between Kevin Kelly and Troy Dorsey in New York City at the theater, at the Paramount. It was called the Paramount. And Kevin Kelly got the decision. Very close fight. One of the judges didn't have it so close. In fact, Randy Gordon, who was the commissioner, did not like the scorecard. So he called him into his office the next day and told him, I can't use you anymore. Your scoring was off. I can't use you anymore. And that judge never judged another fight. That was a commissioner who did something. He saw a bad scorecard, and he did something. people don't stand up for the right thing now anymore in boxing. But that's what it is. That is what it is. But I had a picture up. So this was my room when I was a kid. Yeah, you know what, George, that's exactly what I said. I said it either on my show or another show that what New York's going to do is say, listen, yeah, it's in the rules, but it's up to the ref, and so they're putting it all on the ref, which it is all on the ref, but they could have made it right. They chose not to. So, Giorgio, I'm in agreement. So this is my room back when I was a kid, boxing fan. I had two fighters on my wall. I had Sugar Ray Leonard. I had Marvelous Marvin Hagler. And as you see, Sugar Ray Leonard dominated the wall, dominated the wall. That was that poster, the bigger one, was a Sports Illustrated poster, and that's him hitting Tommy Hearns. Man, I was a member of the Sugar Ray Leonard fan club. Yeah, that was good times. Times that were better, I think, than what you have in boxing now. So I'm really not outraged at the New York State Athletic Commission. I think it was a kind of grandstanding to say that they were looking at it. I think they just wanted to get themselves in the spotlight to make it seem like they were doing something correct. They didn't. They had a chance to rectify Steve Willis's mistake, and they chose not to. They chose not to. Yeah, man. That was the wall was kind of beat up, but yeah. Yeah, that was I had another wall too, and it had nothing but boxing stuff on it as well. TBR, what's going on? So we're talking a little boxing, little New York. The New York State Athletic Commission, if you didn't know, came out and said that the fight shall remain a draw. So I guess my only hope is that Lamont Roach gets Lamont Roach gets his rematch. But you never know because the rumors were that Tank was going to fight Jake Paul. I don't think anyone wants to see that now, especially when most people thought he lost that fight. So maybe we'll see the rematch. You never know if Lamont Roach had a great night, and it was a close fight. I thought Lamont Roach won. I thought Tank was going to win. I thought Tank was going to win by knockout. You never know, man. When these fighters have these nights, you don't know if it's going to be replicated. That was his night, and New York took his moment away, his Rocky moment, his championship moment, the moment that when you watch stories on any fighter who's a champion, they always show the moment they won a title. Oh yeah, I forgot. Nowadays, fighters are just given titles, but that's besides the point. Back in the day, boxers used to earn their titles in the ring, and Steve Willis and the New York State Athletic Commission, they 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 took that moment away from my man, Lamont Roach. So it is what it is. There's a little history today. So um, March 7th, and I remember this day well. Mike Tyson unified the WBA and the WBC heavyweight titles when he fought Bone Crusher Smith in what was a dreadfully boring fight. I mean, dreadfully boring fight. And Bone Crusher, they called him Bone Hugger after that fight. He hugged Mike all night long, and the only time he threw punches, it was literally the last 15 seconds of the fight. He opened up, and Tyson opened up. So, Kinchy, I'm with you. There's too many belts in boxing, but that's not going to change. Maybe Turkey a la Sheik is going to try and change it. I don't see how a league is going to work in boxing. The boxers are going to go where the money is. Now we know Turkey's got the money, but are boxers going to leave their promoters now? Is every boxer going to run to Turkey? If not, there's no way this league is going to make it. It's not going to make it unless they're a league for fighters who are just coming up, who aren't champions yet. Maybe it's that kind of a league. I don't know. But it does seem like, and I don't know the backstory, but it does seem like Turkey kind of showing his bully skills there. He's having beef with Bivol for whatever reason. And now people are saying he's turning his back on other promoters, which I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. TBR, yeah. Uh, I do plan. Well, no, I don't think I'm going to the Times Square fights, and there's a couple of reasons. I believe there's only going to be 300 seats sold. So if you've been to Times Square, I know the area they're talking about. It's very small. I think it's going to be just a standing crowd. I've never wanted to go to Times Square for New Year's Eve. I'm not going there for a fight. And May 2nd, man, I'm from Jersey. We know how the weather is around here. May 2nd, it could be 80 degrees, beautiful. It could also be 50 degrees, cloudy, rainy, and cold. So I don't know. I think they're taking a big chance doing this outdoors, but I'm sure wherever the fighters are fighting will be covered by some kind of canopy, but it won't be for the people. So no, I don't plan on going. Um, I don't. At least right now, things could change, but I don't think I'm gonna go. But tomorrow, tomorrow's a very special day in the history of boxing. 54 years since Ali Frazier won. 54 years. Daniel says Turkey joked he was going to take the existing promoters to Alcatraz and leave them there. That might not be a joke. Maybe this is the plan. Maybe this is the plan. We'll see. Giorgio, I don't know how they're going to pull this off, but I'll be watching. Who are you picking? So you're talking about the May 2nd fights. I'm picking Ryan. I think he's gonna knock Rolly out, or I like when Oscar says his name. Rolly's he's gonna knock Rolly out. I think Rolly's got something. He like blinks a lot, man. I think Ryan's gonna knock him out. And I'm glad they didn't really talk trash in that presser. Because let's be real. Like people like to make Rolly out like he's some big trash talker. All he does is curse. All he does is curse. It's not trash talk. All he does is curse. So I got Rolly. I got Devin. And I would lean towards Tiafimo, but isn't he like every other fight? Like he you never know how he's gonna look. I don't know. I mean they're good fights. They're not great fights. This is setting up the rematch between Haney and Garcia. So TBR, I hear you on the weather. I'm excited for Eubank Jr. versus Eggs Benedict. I'm excited about it because of what Eubank did with the egg. And people say he stepped over the line, but he made this into a gigantic fight. Should he have done it? I don't. Whatever. This is boxing. Tio's 50-50. Yeah, Kenshi, you never know. You never know which Tio's going to show up. He looked spectacular. I mean, his last fight against Claggett, I think nobody cared about that fight. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. And he fought my man before that, I can't remember the guy's name. That was debatable. Debatable. So he's up and down. He's just up and down now. Ryan Garcia's father said that Tio's not training with Eddie Reynoso. I guess Eddie was going to be like some kind of an assistant trainer. So whatever, man. Whatever. But back to the room. Man, if you notice by that light, there's a little clock. Not even digital. But yeah, all my walls were full of boxing stuff and predominantly Sugar Ray Leonard stuff. So I've made this year the year that I've decided that I'm gonna meet this Joker. When I was in 8th grade, I did a book report on Oscar. Um, man, I'm gonna meet this guy this year. The video of a very young, isn't he very young now? Carmel Moulton telling Rolly he has no skills cracks me up. Ryan should handle him easily. Yeah, Rolly, yes, yes. Ryan should handle him easy, and it's a different Ryan. He's still cursing, but he's saying all the right things. He's apologizing for some of the things he said. Because remember, before he fought Haney, man, it was like bonkers. He somebody, I think he did it. They tried to make it seem like someone hacked social media saying he was dead and all this crazy stuff, man. That was definitely Kinchy. That was definitely 80 style. My room was 80 style. So, like I tell people, Sugar was my guy, and I wish I had those posters. Uh, yeah, George, I think I know who your favorite boxer of all time. And I just saw a clip of Sugar on Instagram, and he was playing around with somebody, and he was throwing punches at him. And Sugar Ray has still got some speed. That was my dude. I mean, he's the only fighter that uh if I met, I would be starstruck. And I've been around, I've been to the Philippines with Manny Pacquiao. I've been to Roy Jones's ranch. Um, I never met Ali. And trust me, when I meet these guys, it's like, or if I'm around them, it's exciting. It's exciting. When I was After Roy Jones had the first ever fight at Radio City Music Hall, I was with HBO and we had an after party, which I danced by Peppa of Salt and Pepper. I danced by her, and then I told people I was dancing with her. I wasn't dancing with her, but I was dancing by her. But Samuel L. Jackson was at that party. Like there were stars. They would come to those HBO after parties. But when I saw Iran Barkley walk in, I was like, "Oh shit, that's Iran Barkley." That's when I got excited when Barkley showed up. So yeah, Sugar. So it's always special being around any of these fighters. But yeah, Sugar Ray, I'm gonna meet him this year at some point. Man, I was a member of his fan club. I'll dedicate a whole show to Sugar, but um, yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting that guy. Rolly belongs in the influencer boxing circuit, would make better money and be more successful. Not a genuine elite fighter. No, no. Barroso was beating his ass, and then he got robbed by Tony Weeks, I believe. Right? That was the Tony Weeks job. Um, and I mean, he got knocked out by Tank, and he got ran out of the ring by Isaac Cruz. That he literally got ran out of the ring. I never saw Rolly fight like that. Everybody talks about his power, and he was on skates going backwards that whole fight. And Isaac Cruz is a tough fighter, completely one dimensional, has no footwork, and he can be outboxed. Ryo outboxed him, and then Ryo got his ass tore up by Gary Antoine Russell. So Isaac Cruz is tough, man. But yeah, Kinchy, he dog walked him. Yeah, he dog walked him. He he didn't belong in the ring, and he looked like he wanted he it looked like he wanted no parts of Isaac Cruz. He was intimidated, uh, but he's still getting a shot. I I guess he's got some mystique. What world class opponents has he knocked out? Who? So look, anything can happen when a guy lands. Giorgio, what's your Mount Rushmore? This is like the thing going around Mount Rushmore. What's there? Four people on Mount Rushmore. So I'll go Ali. I would go Sugar. Probably have to put Floyd up there too. Um, Man, that's a tough one because I like to give a nod to the historical fighters. So I'll go Sugar Ray Robinson. So those are that's probably picks that a lot of people make. I've seen people have Mike Tyson on the Mount Rushmore, but you know what? When you ask what's your Mount Rushmore, that's personal. That's not like the best boxers of all time. So I like this question gets asked to a lot of people, but it's a fair question because it should be a personal thing. So yeah, I think those are my guys. So there's not much. I'm sure there's fights this weekend. I don't even know. It's kind of a slow month till the end of the month. Yeah, it is personal. That's why it's fun because I laugh when people have Mike Tyson. That's who they think is one of the four best boxers of all time. So you can't argue. But I got two sugars on there. Yeah, I got to imagine what I picked is probably the most prevalent like four fighters. Although I don't know if I've seen that mix on there. Roy Jones has Salvador Sanchez on his list, the great Salvador Sanchez. Um, but yeah, that's my four. Did Deontay Wilder get KO'd recently? Well, if you mean recently by when he fought Jile Zhang, yeah, he got KO'd. Um, I don't think he's been knocked out since then. He hasn't had a fight. I don't know if he got knocked out in sparring. Deontay Wilder just he looks completely washed up, and for all the people that said all he had was a right hand, it appears that he doesn't even have the right hand anymore. So if you have Deontay Wilder who doesn't have a right hand, and that's pretty much all he had, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? So Joseph Parker beat him easily, and Zhang just beat the shit out of him. So it happens. It happens. Tomorrow is March 8th, 54 years since Ali Frazier, which is insane. Insane. I love watching the docs and reading books on that fight, but 54 years. So um it was Joe Frazier. It was the obviously the biggest night of his career. He got the decision over Ali, 15 rounds, dropped him in that 15th round. If you haven't seen that fight, which I'm sure everybody here has seen, you watch that 15th round and that left hook, which was just, I mean, coming from South Carolina, and he dropped Ali. Ali got up so fast after 14 rounds of fighting this monster, Joe Frazier. I mean, he got right back up and fought him evenly. He after about the next 20, 30 seconds, fought him evenly and was coming back at the end of the round. So what a fight 54 years ago. The late great Joe Frazier, the late great Muhammad Ali. Um, Guys fought each other. Everybody fought each other back then, and it's the common thing that boxing fans say. "Oh, we just want to see the best fight the best, right?" And everybody knows the story of the four kings: Leonard, Duran, Hagler, and Hearns, and they fought each other. They all fought each other. And today, just last year, before Haney lost to Garcia, you had Haney, Shakur, Tank, and Teofimo Lopez. I wasn't saying they were the four kings, but in 2024, I said, I'll take name a fight out of those four. I'll be happy to see it. And it didn't happen, 2024. It didn't happen. For the best fighters in or around the same weight class, they got to fight, right? They got to fight. Not one fight between the four of them. Of course, Ryan Garcia entered the fray and had his dust up with Haney, and now they have business. But my fear again is that we're going to go through 2025, and there's not going to be one fight between those four guys. And if you want to take Haney out, you can. If you want to take Haney out and put Keyshawn Davis in there, be my guest. My guess is that we're going to go another year. That we're going to go another year without any of those guys fighting. And that's one of the bad things about boxing. TBR, I hope Wilder stays retired. Did he officially announce his retirement? I don't know. I don't like seeing these guys take unnecessary punishment after they're already rich and have been champions. Frazier dropping Ali with that hook gives me chills. But Ali getting up from that hook gives me more chills. It is as breathtaking as that hook was by Frazier. The fact that Ali, who was exhausted, who his jaw was swollen, I mean, he got right back up. He didn't wobble. He didn't do the dance. What a moment, man. What a moment. What a fight. What a fight. Fights that I would like to see. Any fight between Tank, Shakur, Keyshawn, and Teofimo, for one. Um, you want to throw throw Gary Antoine Russell in there because I know he's at 140 and T was at 140. Uh, so let's see champions fighting champions. Now there's those are like normal fights now because with 4 belts, there's no reason champions shouldn't be fighting each other. It was a little different back when I was growing up. There was 2 belts, the WBA and the WBC. So Gary Antoine Russell, I still say he was severely overshadowed the other night because I'm watching that card and I'm pumped. When he beat Rayo from pillar to post, as they say, and it was exciting because he really was everything you thought he was going to be. When he fought Puello, I thought he was going to beat Puello, and he didn't look great. And I wondered how he would look in this fight against a young, hungry champion. And Gary Antoine Russell was a monster that night. I want to see Gary Antoine Russell in the ring with Tio, anybody at 140. So, give me Hitchens and Lopez, give me Tank and Shakur. Give me Keyshawn and Tank or Keyshawn and Shakur, even though I know those guys won't fight. Uh, Surprisingly, when I look up at the very top, heavyweights, not a fight that I'm really dying to see, nor at cruiserweight. Light heavyweight, I would like to see Bivol and Benavidez. I'm kind of I think that there's going to be a trilogy with Bivol and Benavidez, but it doesn't have. Since when do trilogies have to be back to back to back? That's not how they used to be. Now, I think that the Canelo Triple G trilogy shouldn't have happened, and it was way too spread out. But there's always a lot of fights. Canelo, I don't want to see him fight. Uh, I don't want to see him fight Terrence, but I'll watch. I don't want to see it. It'll be a huge upset. I don't know. Um, there's a lot of fights to make. There's a lot of fights to make. Welterweight, I don't know. To me, all the big players are around 135 and 140. So just any of those names, I want to see those guys fight each other. I really do. It's my hope that those guys fight each other. But again, I want to jump on it for a few minutes to talk about the gutless New York State Athletic Commission. And of course, we knew they weren't going to overturn it because they give the referees discretion, and because the referee didn't do it, then we can't overturn it. They could have overturned it that night. They have instant replay. They said there were technical difficulties. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. That's boxing. I can't stand the organizations. I can't stand the commissions. Maybe Turkey's got him scared. I don't know if Turkey's going to be a good thing in the long run for boxing. I don't know. I don't see a league working unless he takes over or unless he says it is for the fighters on the way up before they get a belt. This is a league for them, which I still don't know if it's going to work. I just don't see it working. But I could be proven wrong. He's got the money to. I work for a guy who owns an entity. I won't say what it is, but his dream, his fantasy was he was going to buy out boxing. He was going to buy the WBA, the WBC, the WBO, the IBF. He was going to buy everyone out, spend his money, and buy them out, and then create his own league, which makes sense because you have to buy these people out. Uh, that didn't happen. Could it happen with Turkey? It's going to take a lot of money. He probably has the money to do it. But then Is that a good thing for boxing? Is he ultimately going to be good for boxing? I don't know. He seems to, when things don't go his way, he starts to flex his muscle. So we'll see. We'll see how things evolve, and we're all gonna give it a chance, of course. TBR, true, Ali is incredible, definitely legendary. Iron sharpening iron. Yeah, Teo's not fighting Russell. Gary Antoine Russell. Teofimo is not gonna fight him. I think he's gonna be avoided. He's gonna be avoided. Boxing analyst. Did you see the 190-pound fighter fighting a 270-pound fighter in the most recent Golden Boy card? I did not. I did not. That doesn't even, they're not even in the same weight class. I mean, 190 is cruiserweight. So, see, is this what boxing is becoming? TBR, Benavidez beats Bivol. It'll put pressure on Canelo to fight David. Well, there's no guarantees that um, Benavidez is even going to get a shot. So, and at this point, I think Canelo has entered the stage now that he's fighting Terrence Crawford. I think Canelo has entered the stage where the belts don't mean anything to him anymore. He's already been stripped, and he often talked about how important the belts were to him. At this point, I think he's just cashing out, and I could see him fighting Jake Paul, which surprisingly is a fight I would like to see. I would like to see uh, Jake Paul and Canelo fight. I don't think Jake Paul would ever fight him, but we'll see. I knew Gar could do that. I've been hiring for a long time. He had an off night versus Puello, but it was still close. It was close, and you can't have an off night in boxing. And if you have an off night, you better win. When Tyson fought Douglas, it was apparent he was having an off night, and when he dropped him, I remember jumping up, saying, that's it. Like the threat is done. It's over, and it was at the end of the round. So I said, he's getting him the next round, and he didn't. And he didn't. Yeah, Tank is a cash cow. But some of that luster is off him. He's still undefeated, but he's got a draw on his record, which should have been a loss. At this point, if Andrade, what? Demetrius Andrade wants to catch Canelo's attention. He should move up to 175 pounds and outbox better be of 10 to. You don't mean Andrade, right? Because he couldn't catch Canelo's attention if he was nude running down the street. So, analysts, I'm sure you didn't mean Andrade. I don't know if you can buy out a nonprofit. Nonprofit. Who's a nonprofit? Those organizations make money. They're businesses. They make money. Let me tell you, something that kills me? So, how political boxing is. You go to these conventions because you politic. And I know that's how these promoters, they bring their fighters, they politic to get their fighters ranked. You show up to these conventions and you get ranked. It's bullshit, and they're all bums. They're all bums. All these organizations. You go to the welterweight rankings, the IBF. There's no number one rated 147 pounder, and there's no number two rated 147 pounder. Why? Because no one's politicking hard enough. No one's, I'm not going to say paying off, but they're not politicking. I guess the fighters they wanted to show up at their events didn't show up. So when you start to really understand the politics of boxing and the BS and how fight, like literally you have to fight for these whack ass belts to get your fighter rated, like the Intercontinental GBO European National Lightweight Championship belt. You have to fight for those belts to get ranked in these organizations. They're all clowns. Read Randy Gordon's book. Now, it's not as corrupt as it used to be. Randy Gordon, a former, he's got a show on Sirius. He's got a show on Sirius XM. He's the former commissioner in New York. And he had a book. When he was the commissioner, he went to the WBC convention. Jose Suleiman was literally trying to pay him off. Like had an envelope of cash for him, and he didn't take it. So now it's not that blatant now, but they're all about making money, and they're a joke. And again, it how can like Subriel Matias, who is a former champ, he just had a fight at which he won. There's no doubt. Let's talk logically. There's no doubt that Subriel Matias is a top 10 junior welterweight in the world. In the world. Well, the WBO has him ranked fourth. The WBC has him ranked seventh. The WBA doesn't have him ranked at all. And the IBF has him ranked third. So the WBA doesn't have Subriel Matias ranked at all. Why? Politics. It's politics. For some reason, the WBA doesn't have a number 6 ranked contender. It says not rated. How can you not have a top 10? It's same at welterweight. The IBF, Jaron Ennis, number 1 and number 2, not rated. So I love boxing for the fighters, for the stories, for the fights. When you start getting down to the promoters and the judges and the organizations and the corruption and everything else, it's just nasty. Just let's stick to the fights. Let's stick to the fights. TBR. If what Turkey and Wong collided with and tears down the Ali Act, that would be bad. It seems like it will. It seems like it will. That's why I don't know if this is a great thing for fighters. We'll see. Georgia, or maybe Canelo still cares about belts because he's fighting to get the IBF back. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. My man Bruce, what's going on, brother? Hey, Bruce, you shocked? I'm sure you heard, but the New York State Athletic Commission, they are keeping that fight a draw. Boxing analyst, why you, bro? Why you talking about Andre? Why are we really talking about Demetrius Andre? But George, I just got my hair done 2 days ago. Yeah, so glow. Oh man, Demetrius Andre. I got a ton of book, man. I have like a ton of boxing books. There's a lot I could recommend. Teddy Atlas's book. Um, Mike Tyson has a autobiography out or a biography out. He actually has 2 books, big books. One is about him. One's about him and Customato. Those are great books. The Four Kings book is outstanding. Randy Gordon has a book out about his career. Uh, there's a lot of great boxing books for people that still read actual books. I don't like the digital books. I like to read an actual book. I'm reading a book. It's an older book, but it's about the rematch between Joe Louis and Max Schmeling, and just the politics back then and the racism and the war. Germany, Hitler was in power, and it was a fascinating time. There truly could never be a bigger fight than Lewis versus Schmeling too. I We forget about it because it's before our time, and now all that's left are the fight films and books. But there could be no bigger night than that. No bigger night because of the political, the racial, and the world ramifications. I mean, Joe Louis became, in the eyes of white America, a real American then because he was fighting Max Schmeling, who was part of the not well, he was aligned supposedly with the Nazi propaganda regime and Hitler. And then you later found out that he really wasn't a Nazi. But uh, that was very much Yankee Stadium, very much I just don't see how there could be a bigger fight ever in the history of the sport than that one. So I'm reading a book on that. I had read it before. I'm rereading it. I like to reread books. I have a lot of biographies too on fighters. Matthew Saad Muhammad and Alexis Arguello. There's so many good books, so many good books out there. Well, then now there you go. Why not take a timeout? Tank got away with it, but let's remember, Tank not only got away with a timeout, he got away with his corner coming up into the ring and wiping his eyes. So, uh, so now call a timeout. I would look if I'm a little dehydrated. If it's the ninth round, I'm tired. I'm taking a knee and I'm running to my corner. I'm getting some water, and then I'm going back and joining the fray. Because as long as you have, you gotta do it under two circumstances though. You gotta be in New York, and you gotta have Steve Willis as your ref. Steve Willis, by the way, go on YouTube and look Steve Willis up. Steve Willis used to be a comedian. Um, I saw I saw some of his stand up. It's interesting. My take on William Skull, I don't really have a take. I really don't. Um, I don't know enough about Skull. I think that Canelo should beat him easily. This is the quintessential tune-up. This is a tune-up fight. It's a tune-up fight. Rocky Drago is bigger. Well, they you might have it there. You might have it there. Rocky Drago had the political ramifications of Russia and the Cold War. So Daniel Woods has a good point there. That one might be bigger than Lewis Schmeling too. Man, now going back into the record books. Give me the drink, the one I mixed. He actually said, "Give me the bottle, the one I mixed." Man, speaking of Aaron Pryor, the only fight he ever lost was to Bobby Joe Young, and this is when Aaron had been away from the sport for a while. He was in like the midst of drugs and alcohol and everything else, and uh, he had no business losing that fight. I just watched it. Well, I didn't watch the fight. I watched the ending, and Pryor just looked like a shell of himself, and he got dropped. I don't know, eighth, ninth round. He gets dropped, and he gets back up, and then he goes to a knee, and he's looking the ref in the face, and the ref counted him out, and then he jumped up and said, "What's going on?" He was like he was so screwed up, man, and he should never have lost that fight. Oh yes, how could I forget? I've read that book 3 times. Hauser's Ali book was amazing. Just all these interviews. I've read quite a few great Ali books. That's probably the best. Hauser also wrote that book, uh, Black Lights. I think it was about. Man, I'm tripping that I can't remember the name of it. But it was about boxing in the 80s, and Billy Costello, who was a 140-pound champion then, they followed him for a few fights. Hauser followed him and talked about the boxing world back then. Great book. There's so many great books. I don't know. But I would say I'd do a show on great boxing books, but who cares? Because who reads books nowadays? Giorgio, do you have Hulu? There's a show called La Máquina in Spanish with English subtitles that is based on boxing corruption. I don't have Hulu, but I will write that down because I can always watch it. La Máquina. Huh. I'll have to check that out. So it's definitely based on real life boxing corruption. Yeah, man. What a great book. And if you want to, there's a couple of docs that get me emotional. When We Were Kings, one of the best documentaries I've ever seen, and I was a part of 24/7. That was 24/7 before 24/7 was around. When We Were Kings, the doc on Ali and Foreman and their fight in Kinshasa, Zaire in '74, and oh God, it's there was another one, and man, I can't the name because I wasn't really prepared to do this, but they did a doc in the '80s. It was on Holmes, Norton, Foreman, and Norton. When we were champions, no, champions forever. Champions forever. Champions forever. It's on, I believe it's on YouTube. You can find it. Champions Forever is a great doc. And this was in the late 80s. Tyson was king, and Ali could still talk. And they interviewed him. And he had moments where he was just still funny. And it just, man, it made me cry back then. Uh, it made me cry back then because it was just so touching and put together so well. And now, Norton's passed away, Ali's passed away. Larry Holmes and Foreman are still here, but it was really well done. Frazier, did I say Frazier? Frazier was in that too. So it was Frazier, Norton, Holmes, Ali, and Norton. Champions Forever. One of the best boxing docs I've ever seen, and it's just, man, it's well done. It's well done. It's touching. Another round with George Conscious Gaines. Yeah, I didn't even want to. I wasn't planning on coming on, but I saw the news. I said, maybe some people will want to talk about it. The show is fictional, but boxing corruption is the main theme. La Maquina. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, Oscar's doc was good. It was good. I wondered why he did it, because he laid a lot of stuff out there. So I guess it was soul cleansing. I guess it was good. It was a good doc. Surprisingly, a doc that I haven't seen in a long time is Johnny Tapia's doc called Tapia. That was another great doc. But I mean, Champions Forever is is one of my one of my favorites. It just, I might have to watch that tonight. Yeah, man. Yeah, who's gonna watch it with me? Let's watch it tonight. We're gonna watch Champions Forever. It's so good. It's so good, and it just the history, man. I love the history of the sport. I love the history of the sport and the stories. So, but I'm not gonna get all mushy, man. Do you think Dana White will be good for boxing? I don't know Dana White. I did interview him a couple of months ago for uh, a boxing doc I'm working on, and he was talking about the Kevin Kelly Troy Dorsey fight, which is a fight a lot of people don't remember. It's his favorite fight, and he's always said it. He cares about he. Let me phrase this the right way. He seems to love the sport. Now you listen to Paulie Malignaggi, who's had bad dealings with him. He says that he doesn't pay the fighters, that no UFC fighters talk good about him. Will he be good for boxing? I hope so. I mean, Paulie's point was he doesn't pay fighters, so he's not going to be good for boxing. But he's with Turkey, who does pay fighters. So I don't know. We'll see. We have no choice but to give it a chance, unless you just boycott and you won't watch or see what they're doing. Boxing analyst, I think it's fitting. Boxing is corrupt outside the ring. The sport is violent and vicious, and the politics reflect that. Yeah, it's always been dirty. It's always been dirty. Conscious gains. Where's boxing going with Turkey? We'll see. We'll see. I really don't know. I all I I've never met him. I've never had dealings with him. I know he's making fights that people want to see. It seems like he turns into a bully when people speak out against him. But he and Canelo had a little beef, and guess what? Canelo's fighting with him. Why? Why? Because of money. Because of money. And that's where fighters will go. And I don't blame them, because how many fighters have died broke? How many? So, yeah, Dio, I'm serious. I'm about to go watch that. I'm about to go watch it. It's a great doc about some great fighters, and they were together in parts of it. It was so good. It was so good. Boxing analyst, yeah, I do. I don't think Loma. I don't know why he would come back, because the more Loma takes off, the more time he takes off, the worse he's going to get. So I do. I think Loma's done. I think Loma's done. Man, Bruce, come on. Of course, we know it's the fight of the century. Of course. Um, yeah, it's a special day, special fight, and to celebrate, because I've seen that fight so many times, but I'm celebrating tonight. So everyone's invited to my place. It'd be you, me, and Oscar. Let's watch Champions Forever. So everybody, come on over. Bring something to drink. Bring something to eat, and we'll watch some Champions Forever, and we'll have a good night. We'll have a good night. But it's definitely a great doc. And listen, I appreciate people talking boxing, because I didn't plan on doing this. Usually I have some kind of videos or something. Oh man, you got the tacos. Look, you got the tacos, and I got the whiskey. So let's go. Tacos and the drinks, and we're watching Champions Forever. That's what I'm. That's I'm watching Champions Forever tonight. I'm doing it. My wife's asleep. My daughter's babysitting. Yeah, it's gonna be a good night of Champions Forever. There's no big fights on this weekend, so tomorrow you gotta watch. Like Bruce says, it's the anniversary, so you gotta watch Ali Frazier, or at least clips of it. Maybe not the whole fight. 15 rounds. That's an hour. I would suggest you do watch it. When I watched that fight, he Ali had a lot of success early. He won the first few rounds, and then he started playing, and you could tell he didn't train the way he should have. He was cocky, man. He thought he was going to beat Frazier. He thought Frazier was a little guy that he was going to beat, and he looked good the first few rounds, and then he played and played and played. And then I think at some point when he said, "Oh, this guy's serious, let me turn it on," he realized, I'm not 23 anymore, and I was out of the ring for 3 years. And in my first fight back, I struggled with Oscar Bonavina. Uh, second fight, I should say. He beat Quarry, then he fought Bonavina. So, George Ure, wow, you shed a tear if Loma retires. I've seen all his fights. Well, he had a good career. He had a good career, and it's too bad, but fighters' careers end, and the more time that goes by, I don't want to see him get in the ring with one of these killers, because he's not going to get better. I don't think. Sugar Ray Leonard was an anomaly who was out of the ring for all that time, 2 years, 3 years, 3+ years, and fought Hagler after he went from Kevin Howard at 147. I think it was 147, might have been 150. Got dropped to fighting Marvelous Marvin Hagler, 3+ years in between. Nobody does that except for Sugar Ray. And if you forget who my favorite fighter is, that was my wall. That was one of the walls in my room when I was a kid. There's a little binder on that raggedy desk. That's the first ever boxing scrapbook I did. I still have it. I still have it. I believe the first fight in it was Ali versus Holmes, which broke my heart. I didn't watch it. I still have never watched that entire fight. But as you see on that wall, I've told people the two posters I had were Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvelous Marvin Hagler. But you see a lot more Sugar Ray Leonard on there than Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Now, I did have another wall, and truth be told, I had a bigger Marvelous Marvin Hagler poster up. But that Sugar Ray Leonard poster was one of those vintage Sports Illustrated. Let me tell you, back in the day, Sports Illustrated, you could order posters from, I don't know how much it was, $5 a poster. But I ordered the Sugar Ray Leonard poster, and that's him nailing Tommy Hearns and about to knock him out. So, Conscious Gains. All right, how you feel? Hot tank. I got the take that most people have. Steve Willis fucked up. The New York State Athletic Commission fucked up. And look, at worst, it should have been a 10-7 round. No, I'm sorry. You could have taken a 2-point for the knockdown. Take another point off for the corner coming into the fray. So you got a 10-7 round. That's like the best case scenario, right? For Tank. Now, you take the knee, that's a 10-8 round, then the corner comes in, that's a DQ. So Steve Willis, refereeing is not easy, and it's easy for us to say, "Oh, I would have done this, I would have done that." Steve Willis is an experience. You're talking about an experienced ref. You have to be ready for these crazy things to happen, and he was completely unprepared. He didn't even take a moment, call a timeout, and gather his thoughts. He did nothing. He did nothing, and the New York State Athletic Commission did nothing. They did nothing. This bullshit about how a knockdown happens because I think it's in the rules where a knockdown is a fighter going down as the result of a punch, which is bullshit. If you know your boxing, it's bullshit because Floyd Mayweather was knocked down. Why was he knocked down? Against Carlos Hernandez. He hurt his hand. It was hurt. He touched the canvas with his glove, and it counted as a knockdown. He didn't get hit. It was a knockdown. The ref did the right thing. That's part of the. Even though the rule book says that it has to be a punch, no, it doesn't, because Floyd Mayweather has a knockdown in his career because of that. Um, so a lot of people screwed up. It's not a look. Tank, don't hate the player, hate the game, right? Don't hate on Tank for doing that. Tank took the knee knowing he was taking a 10-8 round. He took the knee to get his face wiped. So he said, look, I'll take the 2-point round so I can get my face wiped to get the shit out of my eye, right? So it was it stupid? Yeah, it was stupid. But he says he didn't know the rules. It was dumb, yeah, but it's not his fault. The fault lies with Steve Willis and then the New York State Athletic Commission, because they could have rectified what Steve Willis did and they didn't. So it's not a hot take. I think it's I don't know anyone who has a different argument than what I just said. I haven't heard one person say, "Oh, I've heard some people say, "Oh, I think Tank won the fight," but here's what you can't debate. Factually, fans, everyone thinks that they know how to score a fight when they don't, but they think they do. And oh, I had Tank winning. Oh, I had Roach winning. So what? Two judges had it to draw. That's indisputable. That's a fact. They had it to draw. So what else is indisputable? Tank took a knee, which constitutes a knockdown. It does. It constitutes a knockdown. Floyd Mayweather put his glove on the canvas. Guess what? It constituted a knockdown. So if he gets credit for that knockdown, then those two cards that had to draw would have had it for Lamont Roach, and he would be the WBA. I don't give a fuck about these organizations. So whatever belt Tank had, Lamont Roach would be the champ. And he's not. You can't dispute that. No matter what, no matter if you think, oh, I think Tank won, you can't dispute it. What I just laid out, you can't dispute. So it's not really a hot take. Would you be open to refereeing the rematch to avoid any foul play? Um, no, but you know what? I'm a Jersey guy, so I'll have Harvey Dock do it. All right. In my place, Harvey Dock. I'll put Harvey Dock in there. Harvey Dock was on the undercard, and he should have been in that main event. Analyst, would you welcome the concept of a 4-minute boxing of 1 round, unlimited time until the fighter quits? No. No, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. So it's interesting, but I don't want to see that. Not on a professional level. I mean, they do that in Floyd's gym. They if you want to see that, analyst, go to Vegas, go to the dog pound, and that's what they do. They just fight until somebody quits or falls. So If you want to see that, if anyone wants to see what boxing analysts just talked about, go to Floyd Mayweather's gym in Las Vegas. I don't know if they do it anymore, but they sure used to. There wasn't a bell. You just fight until somebody quit. So, um, all right. Well, that was fun. I had no idea I was going to do this, but it's always fun. I knew some people would pop on and talk boxing. So, Georgie Orr. The bout continued for more than 3 rounds after the referee's no knockdown call. And because the boxers necessarily adjusted to the referee's ruling, the referee's call was not outcome determinative. Yeah, I just don't care. Like this is what I say to the NYSAC. So, yeah, I got you, Georgie Orr. I got you. Like whatever, man. Like we knew they were gutless and ballless, and we knew that this is what they were gonna do. And Lamont Roach gets robbed of his moment. Now he's still a champ at 130, but will he ever have a night like that where he was a huge underdog against a star? Make no, you might not like the fact that he hasn't fought any of the killers. You might hate the fact that his resume is kind of weak, but you can't dispute that he's a star. He is a star in America. Everywhere he goes, he sells out. People come to see him fight. And boxing, New York took away Lamont Roach's moment, a special moment, and you never know if he's going to get it. Maybe he goes on from here and has a Sugar Ray Robinson type career. Maybe he does. Maybe he fights Tank again and beats him. Maybe he fights Keyshawn Davis and beats him. Maybe he becomes just this Hall of Fame fighter. Maybe. But that's a maybe. What they did was take away that moment. They took away that moment. And I wish him the best. And it just sucks that boxing does this. And it does it on a regular basis. Whether by ineptitude, um, shystiness, corruption, I don't know. But it happens. It always happens. It always happens in this sport. Yeah, Analyst, I know. Doc was biased for Haney, though missed a couple of knockdowns and took a point without warning. I talked with him about that, and he did say like he didn't think that was his best night, but um, yeah, look, but that fight was called a no contest anyway. Um, I thought Ryan Garcia won that fight, but I remember scoring it, and I'm super biased, super biased. So my scorecards are whack. I mean, so maybe it was another whack night for me, but I wanted Garcia to get knocked out so bad, and it wasn't happening. I think I had Garcia only winning by like a point or two because I did think Haney won most of the rounds where he wasn't flopping all over the canvas. I thought it was a close fight. I thought Garcia won it. I know it's a no contest. I know it was called a no contest, but Haney, for as bad as he looked, he he showed his toughness, and not every fighter is tough. You got to have guts and heart and balls to get in the ring, period. But not every fighter is tough and has heart when it comes down to really showing it. And he did. So I thought it was close. And yeah, Harvey didn't have a great night, but I still want him to ref the rematch between Tank and Roach. But if I was Lamont Roach, but where do you go? Like, I don't want to be in New York. I don't know. I feel like, damn, I feel like they barely fight anymore in Vegas, big fights. So maybe Vegas. All right. Well, I'm about to end this live. My daughter's home. She was babysitting right across the street. My dog is about to go crazy. But let's do a live this weekend. We'll talk some more boxing. Appreciate everyone that was on here, and we'll talk soon.